live? Hey, good evening, everyone. I'd like to call the meeting of the Board of Sewer Commissioners to order, September 23rd, 6:30. And could I have a roll call? Sandy?
Sandy Slavin.
Donna Bronk.
Peter Dunlop.
Jim Gibberti. We don't have any meeting minutes for approval. So we'll go into sewer business. The first item on the agenda is Frank's Way. They're looking for an abatement of $699.01, and the recommendation is to disallow that, as the water has been shut off for a seasonal thing, and it does not meet the criteria for being shut off for abatement. Can I have a motion on that item?
I make a motion, we,
I'm sorry, it says it's under renovation. So is it more than not seasonal if it's under renovation? Is that is stated in Gloria's application?
She is renovating the property. What I understand is she puts it on every summer, and she stays there, and they're fixing it, and then they go away.
Okay, so she's
They come back.
occupying it during the renovations.
That's what I understand. She says it's non-livable, but they're there while they're doing renovations in the warm season. So they put the water on. And the criteria says water has to be off, and so there's no way I can abate her.
Okay, well, I move that we not grant the abatement as recommended by our sewer superintendent.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
4-0-0. The next one is 2 Green Street, an abatement for $538.70, and the recommendation is we grant that.
Why don't we on to me?
That's for 2 Gray Street.
Got it.
Okay, 2 Gray Street, okay. Okay, okay, I make a motion that we approve the abatement for 2 Gray Street, the amount of $538.30, according to the superintendent's recommendations.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
4-0-0. Next item is 6 Allen Avenue, the amount of $646, and the recommendation is to grant it.
Which property is this now?
6 Allen.
Allen Avenue.
This one.
Okay, yeah, I know him.
That one.
Oh, this one here, oh, okay. Okay.
Guy did an on-site inspection on that one.
I mean, it says they're not connected to sewer, so why do they even have a sewer bill?
So they have sewer in the house, and back in 2014, when the husband was alive, they planned to do a apartment over the garage. He passed. It was never done. So I did an on-site inspection. There is no apartment above the garage. There is all kinds of storage. She has been paying the bill. I guess she realized that what the bill was for, and so she calls, went out there, and we agree that she should not be billed for 2 EDUs, however, just 1.
All right, I make a motion that we approve the $646 for 6 Allen Avenue based on the superintendent's recommendation.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
4-0-0. And then we have 59B Gibbs Avenue for $646, and the recommendation is to approve it.
Okay. Now,
Mr. Chairman, if I will,
Yes,
there's a discrepancy. The abatement should be for 323. That's what he asked for.
okay.
And there's 2 properties, there's 2 homes on that piece of property. One is connected, one is not. So it's a long story. One was rehabbed, one wasn't. And years ago, someone told them, and I don't know who that someone is, that they didn't have to connect the back. So And I verified that, so we're gonna bait that one in the back that does not have sewer, and then I have to explore is how to get sewer there, because I told them that that's a sewered area on Gibbs Ave, and we have to sewer them, so I'll meet with him after the fact, and we'll figure out how to get into sewer, because he needs to connect to sewer. But for now, he doesn't have sewer, so I can't bill him, and the abatement should be in the amount of $323.
So the 921 memo should read 323, not 646.
323,
Yes.
correct.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I make a motion that we approve the abatement for 59B Gibbs Avenue in the amount of $323 based on our superintendent's report.
Second?
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
400. And now we have a letter which I'm not,
Interesting letter. He said he doesn't have any staff in his office, so he did it himself by hand. I think it was pretty funny. Mr. Priolo owns a piece of property that surrounds our pump station on Cremisa. He also owns a property behind it, and he tied that sewer in through Preservation Lane, and he put sewer from the beginning of Preservation Lane, all of it, to tie into his back-end property. I think he probably went through
Oh,
conservation.
he most certainly did on both
On
properties,
those
yes.
properties. So he wants to connect the front lot, and there's a manhole in front of his property that he's gonna connect to. And I see no problem with it and no issue with it, and he should be allowed to connect that particular property. As sewer is in Cremisa, and that area is very sensitive, and it make no sense to put a septic system there.
Would he have an issue with the connection being in the water table?
I'm gonna evaluate that. We think, because the house is gonna be up on stilts.
And, well, it's going to be on a raised mound.
Yeah, he says it's gonna be up.
It's not stilts, but it's going to be a raised mound.
So the elevation will be above, so we'll be able to gravity it in, and it won't be in any water. If we feel at any point in time be in water, then he has to put the grinder pump, as he agreed to do, especially he did in the back property, it's only grinder. So we're gonna, but when I talked to him, he said elevation is not gonna be an issue, and the pipe will not be in water. So under that criteria, it'll be gravity. If that criteria changes, then it'll have to be grinder, as we have a policy, anything that's in water will be grinder.
now is this plastic pipe that would go in, Guy, to eliminate
Yes.
the limit?
It'll be SR
Reduce the number
35.
of seams.
I'm sorry?
It'd be plastic pipe to reduce the number of connections?
Yes, it'll be SR 35, but it'll be for one connection from his house directly to the manhole, and we'll eliminate the water concept. So it's one particular,
Okay.
and so we're gonna address that. And we'll also, even it won't be in water, but we're going to address the joints, only because tide's rising and all the good stuff, and that whole area may water table, we don't know where it's gonna be in a few years. So we'll address it now while we're there.
And the cost?
That's his cost.
No. What are we going to, is there a betterment?
The most recent, he has to pay the most recent betterment, which is $18,000 for sewer development fee.
So there's no, it's 18,000 to connect.
Sewer development fee, yes, ma'am. And that has to be paid all at once. We tried to do it, if you will, extended as betterment as payments. We found out that we could not do it. So yes, it has to be one check for the sewer development fee, yes. If it turns out that it has to be a grinder, then the policy says we can reimburse him or deduct the cost of the grinder system. But at this point, it's gonna be gravity.
Guy, just for information. Can you put a grinder pump in virtually any place?
Yes.
So, I mean, if I were to build a house next door to my own, and I'm on a gravity system, I could put a grinder pump in there?
In your property, yes, into the gravity system.
It wouldn't mess up any of the system?
No.
Then why don't we have everybody that's connecting go to the grinder pumps?
Well, because the controversy is groundwater, you're right. So I concern myself with two things and why grinder pumps work. A is sump pumps. So if you're high and you're not gonna have any issues with sump pump, and your pipe's above the water table and there's no issue with infiltration, then gravity's fine and plastic pipes are fine. If there's any question of a sump pump, or any question of a water table issue that may get into the pipes, then a grinder pump is mandatory. So we could say grinder pumps for everybody, but we fit the criteria for the specificity of those, of the area, low areas in town of Wareham that gives us trouble, that eats the capacity of the sewer system. So that's why we have that. But you're right, we could put grinder pumps everywhere, anywhere, it didn't matter. But it wouldn't make sense in a high area.
That's what I'm just saying, it wouldn't make sense because they're driven, the gravity, right? I mean, if you've got, the, why would you make somebody put it in if they don't need to put it in?
So if someone, again, if they're out of the water table, then we wouldn't
exactly.
bother. If they're in the water table, if the pipes are in the water table, or, there's a potential of a sump pump, then that would have to happen, because that would minimize or eliminate, if you will, because grinder pumps, gosh, and to Peter's point, I'm gonna be very blunt, I'd like everybody to have a grinder pump because you can't pass flushables. Flushables are a major issue in wastewater because people are flushing baby wipes, adult wipes, I can go on and on and on, and they clog up our pumps.
Yeah.
A grinder pump, it's in your property. If you decide to flush those things, then you're only impacting yourself. When you decide to flush those things, you're impacting everybody that connects to that pump station. So in that sense, I agree with you 100% because it minimizes the impact to our pump stations. It minimizes the impacts to our treatment plant. Yes, it would be the best way to go. But the logic of if you don't need it because you're out of the water table, we'd be hard pressed to set that policy. But I like the way you think because it eliminates a whole lot of problems.
Well, if it's going to eliminate a lot of problems, I don't see why we can't institute that as a policy.
I'm sorry?
I don't see why we can't set that as a policy. I totally understand why it's necessary, in low water situations. Yeah, but to the homeowner, what's the additional cost?
The homeowner, the cost is just electricity. And the maintenance, so we're going to do grinder pumps in Swiss Beach on Kinko and surround, I think it's 4 other streets. The town is going to own the pumps. We're going to maintain the pumps, and so there's no extra cost. We're going to do it all. However, if we have to go to that property because they do flushables and they plug that pump up, they're paying a service charge and they're paying for repairs. So what it comes down to is accountability, because if you decide to flush things that are not good, then you will pay for it. And so that's the concept of flushables. But I think it's important that the town pays for it, and we will, and we'll maintain it, but we're not going to reward bad behavior. And if you don't do the right thing, you'll pay for the repair. If it needs a new pump, you'll pay for it. If there's whatever the cost of the time to service it, you'll pay for that.
So the bottom line is, the grinder pumps would be beneficial throughout the system. We would install them, pay the initial cost of purchasing them, install them, and you, the homeowner, then would be responsible for the ongoing maintenance of them.
Yes, so if it's
We
routine.
would maintain them, but
Yes.
you would pay for it.
Yes, so in theory, in reality, that pump will last almost forever. There's documents of 18 years, but here's the point. If you're gonna bang it with grease, and you're gonna bang it with baby wipes, you're gonna bang it with all the things that we deal with on a daily basis, then that pump doesn't stand a chance of any longevity. In that case, you need to make the replacement because you caused that. The immature death of that pump is by your negligence.
If I might just interject for my own clarification, as well as others if it's necessary, but isn't Kleenex a flushable that you don't want down?
Yeah, absolutely. Don't flush
Okay,
Kleenex.
that's
Don't flush paper towels. The only thing, and I'm really adamant about this, the only thing that you flush down a toilet is what you naturally put in there and white toilet paper. That's it. That's all that's acceptable. That's it. Nothing else. And now you have to be conscientious because now they're making bamboo toilet paper, which is a fibrous material and it doesn't deteriorate. The key is that toilet paper, if you will, disintegrates. It just goes away. You drop toilet paper in some water, stir it, and that toilet paper disappears. It's gone, to be no more. If it doesn't disappear, then it can't be flushed. And they are making bamboo toilet paper now that's very difficult to flush and other things, so you gotta be conscientious. But that's all we want in the system. And that protects the pumps. Pumps can't move baby wipes. They can't move when they're greased up. They just don't do their job, so they become
Just wanted to
costly.
make the point about Kleenex, because you're talking about white toilet paper. Well, Kleenex invariably is a white paper that everybody thinks can just, use it.
Yes. It's not white toilet paper. You're absolutely right. And that's all you can flush is white toilet paper. So that's the issue, and it's hard for people to understand that, and so it's personal habits. Okay, I'll buy white toilet paper, that's it. You can't flush food, you can't flush any personal products, I mean, absolutely nothing. And somebody makes a big pot of soup and is like, yeah, we're not gonna eat this. Where does it go? It should go probably out in the woods for the animals, I don't really know, and somebody might complain about that, but it certainly cannot go down the toilet. So so to your point, absolutely, grinder pumps would eliminate a plethora of problems. It's just that there'd be a major pushback. I mean, they wanted to do grinder pumps in Bay Point, and the town said absolutely not.
I think one of the
Why would there
issues,
be a major pushback?
Well, power.
power, if loss of power, the grinder pumps don't work and everything backs up.
Yep.
That's why you have generators.
Yeah, but it's not as bad as it used to be. The
No, it
power's
isn't.
awful
isn't.
rare, and it's,
I'm just saying that was one of the big issues with Bay Point,
Yeah,
was the issue of the loss of power.
loss of power, yeah.
Which was invalid because they're gonna build this huge pump station, and that pump station has to have a generator that's gonna be 35 kWs at a tremendous cost. It has to be maintained, and that pump station has to be maintained at a tremendous cost, so those homeowners are gonna share that cost. So whether they're doing it for an individual station or a huge station, the cost doesn't go away, but with the big station, the costs are higher. So so the logic didn't make any sense to me. Sometimes we interject personalities into it, but no, the logic isn't correct. And also, we have grinder pumps here. We've never been out for storms we have a generator, and there's a list, and everybody knows you have a grinder pump. If you lose power, you call us, we'll go plug you in and empty your tank. They've been in the ground since 2010. We've never gone out. I mean, never. So I don't know if it's really an issue. If it's an exaggerated issue, I don't really know. But yes, you have a holding tank for 55 gallons. If power goes out, I hope you're not going to shower. You probably can. It depends on your hot water heater, but I hope you're not going to shower. I hope you're not going to use a tremendous amount of water. So, that's the reality of it. So, yeah, we haven't gone out. So I don't think it's a valid point, nonetheless.
That was
I get
what
it.
came before the boards.
Yes, because we approved it.
Oh, before we lose track, I make a motion, we accept the hookup at 146 Cremisa.
I have a second?
well, that's why I was asking the questions, because I was going to suggest that we ask him to put a grinder pump in.
I'll look at it, but again, at present, the policy is if it's in water, then we will mandate it. If it's not, then he has an option. So I will evaluate it really closely, but at this point,
And
I
you
don't know.
really feel that if we were to rewrite the policy, that we'd get a major pushback?
Yes, I believe we would. You could write it, but I believe you get a pushback.
Without a doubt.
We'd have to get past the pushback.
Yeah, but think of the benefits.
You and I can think of the benefits because we're a little bit more well-educated and know it. But try and sell it to people that are half listening or not listening. I mean, it
Yeah,
just
but are you selling it to people that are not listening because they're concerned about a power outage or because they're violating policies?
Well, Swiss Beach around Waukegan and the other areas, the town is saying we will pay for a pump and do general maintenance, but you must have a grinder pump because you're in the water. Anybody else coming up, if they're not in water tables, our policy says we don't have to. But someone's going to say, wait a minute, you paid for the grinder pumps for Swiss Beach, why aren't you paying for mine and I have a new hookup?
What does the grinder pump cost?
Box, but I would suggest about, I'll give you the old price, about $4,800 a piece,
Excuse me?
$4,800 per our cost. per pump.
If we're gonna require them, we should.
Well, if we were to require it on this hookup that we're speaking of, and his connection costs are going to be $18,000, could we give him a $4,000 abatement?
No, yeah, absolutely. We have a policy. If he puts a grinder pump in, we will cut that off deduct the cost of that off of
Just,
yes.
I think we're gonna get it back in maintenance, or the lack of having to do maintenance because of,
No.
It's a
so
better
The grinder pump was
product.
one cost. What is the cost to the town for installing it? What is the cost for doing yearly maintenance on it? It isn't just the cost of the pump.
I asked for those numbers. So we're tied into E1 to an experiment on Oak Street. We're going to get the annual cost of everything, and I'll get that for you. And I'm told from E1 it's not as expensive as we think. I'll let you know. They're
I mean, I'm on Oak
calculating
Street. Am I
electric-
going to, wait a minute, what are you experimenting on Oak Street?
We had one of the systems that, we have a lot of experiments, but I can't tell you all of the experiments because you'd get all upset. But anyways, no, I'm just kidding. There was a couple that had original pumps that we installed from Bonds, which were,
Never mind.
so forget that. So
Let's-
anyways,
Can we go back? I'm sorry to go off
let's
topic.
get back to this. But yes,
Back to this.
I can talk to you about that. But yes, so it's.
Sorry, Peter, I went down a tangent.
now, this area is it Beta that's looking at the area down on Swiss Beach?
Yes, right now it's JC Engineering, and they're tying with Bader. So JC Engineering is going to delineate everything, and Bader's going to design it. Actually, Bader's going to design it with E1.
But it's just that one little area.
Yes, it's Barnes, forgive me if I get this wrong, but it's one Kinko, Barnes, Pleasant, Bayview,
So it's really from Swiss
and a little bit
Beach,
of Columbia.
Swiss Beach all the way down to Columbia.
Yes, Swiss Beach
Off-
Road.
Off of Waukegan.
Yes, right, anything that ties into one Kinko is
Just way
what's
out
gonna
at
be
the
done.
end.
Yes, just, if you look at one Kinko, all the flow comes for those streets to one Kinko, only half of them. Not like Bayview goes all the way, it's only half of
No,
Bayview.
we're talking, if I was on Swiss Beach Road, down by the beach.
Yes,
So it's that point all the way down to, yeah. Yes, because here's Swiss Beach Road coming down there, so it's all,
That's Swiss Beach Road.
yeah, so it ends right there, that's
Yeah, so it's
Waukegan,
just-
so are those homes in there around
Yeah, right,
Columbia,
just
yeah,
that one small section.
yeah.
yeah, it's and I think
But that's
a
the
count.
ones that are failing on us.
Correct, correct.
Okay, sorry.
We all set now?
So, in their study, are they gonna tell us what it's gonna cost to put the pumps in?
We're gonna get total cost of everything, yes. Yes.
Now, if that project goes forward, who's paying for those?
I don't know yet. We're paying. The town's, the enterprise is paying. I haven't figured that part out yet. Because we have a
When do we
failed,
expect that report?
JC Engineering said they'll be completed by, actually, originally it was October. They got backed up, so I'm waiting for it. I'll have to talk to them. But we'll say in a month or so, I'll have the report. Bader will have, within a month, we should have all the numbers, all the reports, so I can present it and we'll move from there. The question becomes, either we replace the pipe on one Kinko and Bayview, or we do this. And this was a less of a cost outlay, because no matter what, we're paying for it, but it also gained the inflow from sump pumps, and it gained the infiltration from the, so it's a better package.
We've been over this particular issue, and that's
Yes.
why we've come up with this decision.
This is a better
the direction
package.
we're going. You know, So
Absolutely.
we're gonna. just
Have you
continue on.
told those people yet?
We've told about a dozen of them. I was out there last weekend.
And
or
how
weekend
many are
before.
there?
We talked about, yeah, I don't know, to be honest with you.
We're talking 40, 50 homes?
Yeah, total. But I caught them all, I was at the intersection while we're pumping. They're all coming by, it was a
Yeah,
busy
okay,
day.
so-
And I explained everything to them, why they seen it.
Some have
there's
been
no-
told and some have not.
Some have not, I'm sure. And I'm sure that some of the ones that have been told have spread it, because they said they would tell their neighbors, but you're right. Part of the debt package is a public meeting, to make sure we do that. Yes.
I mean, I think once we have a figure on grinder pumps, particularly this project, we'll have a better feel for what the cost of a grinder pump is.
Agreed, yeah.
And then I think then we should relook at it and decide whether or not we need to make a policy shift or not.
It's a valid point.
Would you say there's 50 homes there?
I'm going to say between 25 and 50, yeah, roughly.
No, would have a good sample.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
And-
we'll revisit this then.
And when we revisit it, I want to suggest to the board, and this is just, if we bought a couple of flow meters and install them on the back end of those, just to get concepts of what comes out of them, because it can be done, because now it's a forced main. You can put a flow meter. Just throwing that
As
out
far as
there.
I'm concerned, I think it should be done. I mean, I think
may
we
be
need
some-
it.
just to experiment,
we
just to see.
have no place at the present time where we have flow meters that and we've got areas that we should have them in.
It'd be a good monitor for us to
So
see
it
exactly what
it
happens.
doesn't make sense to me to go into something that's brand new, as this is going to be, and not do it if it's a potential necessity.
I agree.
It's a hell of a lot cheaper to do it now than it is to go back and retrofit.
It's an opportunity to answer a bunch of questions.
So,
Back to your motion, second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Up and running. Okay. Seems you haven't had a chance to say anything tonight, Guy. You're up.
So you're going to give me an opportunity, huh? Interesting. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. There is a street between Cumberland Farms and Speedway. It goes from Main Street to Merchants.
Yeah.
And there's a sinkhole there. You probably all noticed it.
Oh, yeah.
It's been a barrel.
That as
forever.
bad as the one in front of TD Bank on Main Street?
I'm not sure, but I can tell you this. They put a monitoring well there, I'm told, in 2013. And they put that monitoring well through the pipe, through a sewer pipe. They come across the edge of the pipe and they cracked it. I had to hire a company to bring in a Vector and a camera truck to discover this. So we have to repair it because the road keeps sinking.
Excuse me.
And it's
was
coming
that
into
what-
our system.
Was that what was going on down there last week?
Yes, actually it was earlier this week. I think it was
Earlier
Monday.
this week, rather.
Monday. We're there probably most of the day.
Yeah.
And so we started digging it out, and Dave's trying to discern why the road is sinking. And then we discovered that the sinkhole is exactly over the sewer pipe, between manhole to manhole. So at that point, we decided it makes no sense to continue. Let's look at inside the pipe to see if there's a problem. And we discovered that there is a problem. We had a hard time getting in because of all the sand. It created a barrier, so the water was coming up to the sand, rising, and then going over, continuing on, so it backed everything up. It's been going on for years, and I'm told that it was put in 2013, and so what I'd like to try to find out is who the company is. If I can find out who the company is, then there's a potential of reimbursement if they're still in business. But we have to do it, and the job is going to be about $8,000 to do a patch. They come in and do a small patch. And so the pipe comes along the side of the, and I have the videos coming and I'll show you the pictures, but it's a round clay pipe and the well is driven on the outside of that pipe. So when you look from inside the camera, you see the face of the clay gone. You see the dirt and some rocks and this beautiful white pipe that comes down, 2-inch pipe. And so you can see the water coming in. And it was low tide. Now, it's been moon, so the tide was really low. I haven't looked at it at high tide. I can only guess what's coming in. And so all that dirt's coming, that's why they keep filling the sinkhole, and that's why you can't stop it, is the reason. So we have to make the repair. So it was an interesting find.
Can you add, looking at the depression in front of TD Bank on Main Street? You're
haven't.
down at least 6 to 7 inches.
I haven't added to my, I
I
haven't
can't
added to.
drive down Main Street without looking like I'm drunk. I'm zigzagging, missing all of the sewer manholes because they are depressed all the way through.
Go down Merchant's Way.
Go down Merchant's Way?
Yeah, you don't have to zigzag.
Oh, okay.
So that's the answer.
Only once in front of the comfort station.
Right.
I gotta tell you, what gets me nervous is that now that Mr. Menard finds out that we have a cause and it's coming out of my budget, he may want me to check them all and look to push him my way. But I was kind of kind of disappointed. I got to pay for it, but I'm glad we found the problem, because we're getting the debris. And so now I'm going to clean debris, and the infiltration, the water's coming in with it. And again, it's a constant pour at low tide, and it's been moon tide, so I can't imagine what it is.
We've
at
got
high
an
tide.
issue, it's got to get repaired, we'll have to
repair
pay for it if you can find out the original
If I can.
doers, then we've got a potential fallback position.
Yes.
But,
Yes.
you know, we
We all know what
can't,
the
we can't
chances of
count on
that
that right now, so.
So a well had to be, so to be frank, the well had to be drilled because of, they're looking for contamination under the direction of the Department of Environmental Protection. There is a record. The fire department, I met with Chief Kelly, and he said that he believes they have a report that states the DEP oversaw the drilling of those wells, because those wells were put in for contamination. So I said, if you give me the report, it gives me something to take to the Department of Environmental Protection and say, here we have, they can do their research and find out who they were overseeing to do the job.
Because that's
So
where
it's a
there used to
paper
be,
trail.
there used to be a car repair shop there, a lot of oil and gas and stuff like that some time ago, so that's what they were looking at, is the soil contamination from that business, right? That used to be a repair shop.
Yeah, but that's, yeah, probably 40 years ago.
Well, that's probably when they put the
Little better.
wells down. Anyway, that's,
Yeah.
So I'm going to try my very best, but the DEP oversees these wells for contamination, so there has to be some paper. It's going to take me a while to get it, but I got to chase it. Because of COVID, DEP, most people are working at home, so I got to contact the right people and start the process, so I don't know how long it's going to take. But I think it's worth pursuing, even after, if we pay for it, that's fine, but I think it's worth pursuing.
Yeah,
I don't wanna
so we're
stop
gonna do the
pursuing.
job, get it done, and pursue it at the same time.
I got a note that from now on, moving forward, anytime anybody wants to talk to Mr. Bowen, you have to go to the selectman's office and sign up, half-an-hour slots, and they'll regulate. My midnight calls are no longer appropriate, but anyways, I'll adhere to that. The lots, remember the lots 1, 2, and 3 at Minot? We gave them permission to tie into the force main.
Right?
We can't get a police detail. So today was our third attempt. And I'm afraid to go on to close Minot Ave without a police detail. And so today we talked to the police again, and they said we can do it again tomorrow, and we're going to try to get all the people that are in play, because we've got conditions that have to be met. The pump truck, there's a bond, it has to be a reputable driller, which was Windwater, and they keep canceling them, they keep paying for them to come up to find out that we can't do the job because we can't get a police detail. So they're supposed to call us, and I'll find out tonight and verify if we can and cannot. So that job is becoming very difficult to complete. And also the timing, there's units ready to close, and it's really not my problem, but the attorneys and et cetera, have been waiting for this closing for some time, and they can't have a closing, obviously, until we tie them to sewer, and that can't happen until I can close down part of Minot Ave. So I'll keep you informed. I'm going to talk to the chief. One time I had talked about hiring or training my guys to do flagged, which is legal in Massachusetts, and it didn't go over too big when I presented 3 years ago. But if there's going to be an issue, I get it, then there should be other options. And I'm going to explore it with the chief, and I'm sure it's staffing, and there's a lot of issues, and there's a lot of details going on right now, and I understand it. I'm not complaining about any individual, but we have a problem trying to get a job completed, and I can't just shut a road down because it would create quite a havoc, and it would become a safety issue, and I don't want to create any safety issues. So I'll keep you informed. We'll keep working at that and see what happens. I think that's all.
Okay.
Because you can't get a police detail?
Guy,
Yes, that's it.
I heard from a Bourne member of their Board of Health that for about 12 hours a couple weeks ago, we pumped sewer into Dick's Pond.
How?
There was a broken line
Where?
down by the construction.
Yeah, that's incorrect.
So that was a rumor.
It's incorrect.
Okay.
I have no broken
Because
lines.
my
but-
response to that person was, sewer commissioners weren't notified, and we usually are.
That they're incorrect. And matter of fact, if that was the case, they should have called the sewer department ASAP if there was a concern. And I don't know how the rumor got out. I know there was a gas leak. I know there's been a concern with the drainage going to Dick's Pond, but there's no sewer
Okay,
pipe.
thank you.
So, that I'm aware of. Kind of crazy. I've sent a letter over to the Bliss Foundation in regards to the 45-acre parcel behind Walmart and looking at a pump station or some land to put a detached or a decentralized treatment plant to take the flow from the industrial park and the trailer park and bring it there to treat, and also to do the surrounding area, the trailer parks that are all failed, have many, many failed systems in that area there. Hopefully they'll get back to me, get on their agenda, and make a presentation and see how they feel about it. So that's in the works. And we decided that we would take the funding that we got for the groundwater at Minot Ave and use it to do the hydrogeology of that area, so that we'll take care of that too. The plant project is coming up, as you know, is coming out good. We got, we're getting the metal put in for the covered basin at the plant. We're digging the big hole for the filters, for the D-night filters, and it's huge. So that project is moving along pretty good. They're doing a good job. Engineers are doing a good job. We're asking for quite a bit of changes. One being, the pumping system is going to be pass-through pumps. I'm asking them to be macerating pumps because we're getting a lot of solids, and the solids are coming through the system and they're getting into the draft tubes of the clarifiers and plugging up the draft tubes, and the blankets rise up and then they overflow and then they take out the D-night filters and we lose plant water. It's pretty crazy. So it's baby wipes and all the solids have become a major issue. So as we go along, we're looking for changes that are going to be beneficial to the long-term health of the treatment facility. We've been getting some calls and there's been some emails around the plant. We have a fence and we've been trimming the trees around the fence, and because they all grow and it takes away the road, so we're going along the whole fence line and doing that. We're also around Linwood Pump Station. We own a piece of land out to Linwood, and it's become the dumping grounds of that area. And so we're going to trim all the trees, cut them down, and then Mr. Maintenance is going to come in. We're going to take all the debris out, clean everything out, and wrap that up. And I got some quotes for fences, and we'll put a fence in the front, and we'll secure that property so that it won't be used as dumping grounds any longer. That's probably it. I say they go with projects, so you know, but that's not a big deal. Narrows force main will be done in the spring. We have an elevation issue. I'm still working on bypass. I don't like the cost of bypass for pump trucks. I was hoping to do something different, but I don't know because I have 5 separate. I have the Indian Neck Pump Station. I've got a single-family home, shipbuilding place. I've got the school. I've got a condominium. I've got a development and a nursing home that all tie in through their pump stations. And I got to keep everybody happy, so it's become a little more of a navigable issue, so we'll resolve that. So we're going to do originally go to town meeting in the fall. Can't happen. We'll go to the fall town meeting in the spring. It'll also give us time to rectify all these problems and get it out for quote, for bid, and see what some hard numbers are. So we can get to town meeting in the spring. We'll have some hard numbers for the people and for you folks, and so we can make some better decisions on hard numbers.
What's happening with that building opposite the school? Do they have a hookup now that
Yes,
the
so-
pump station is closed for the school?
Interesting. The school is tied into, so there's a pump station, and there's a force main that comes out of that pump station, ties into the 18-inch force main. It's a 6-inch pipe. The school is tied into that 6-inch pipe. So the pump station it's still there, and you'll still be able to use it. The question becomes, is who's going to own it and maintain it? The school's not going to maintain it. We're not going to maintain it. So we have to crystallize in writing his responsibility if he's going to use it, and he has to use it because it services the building, but who's going to maintain that?
Okay, so it's still work in progress.
It's working.
He still has something he
He
can
has
use.
something. He'll always, yes, he'll
It
have it.
becomes the cost and maintenance of it that has to be resolved.
Yes,
Okay, thank you.
absolutely, absolutely. absolutely, so that's where that is. I said that, that's that. I think that's, I mean, there's plenty more, but that's all I have in front of me. We have tours the 5th and the 12th of October with Upper Cape. We're getting back into the co-op program, provided that COVID continues to cooperate. And so we're pretty excited about that. We just completed a course at the plant for operators or laborers to get their licenses. So we hope that we have a successful results from those tests. Labor is still a problem. I had a laborer, an individual quit today, and he said, frankly, that he could go get a job making more money stocking shelves at a grocery store than working with human feces on them. So I think the town is working towards addressing that. We've made some changes. We're offering more money. We're trying to address that. And it's just not here. Living wages have become an issue. In the Bliss Family Foundation project, I'm trying to partner with an individual who's looking to put in workforce houses in the town of Wareham. I'd like to see that happen too. He could help with the cost of the plant, the treatment plant, et cetera, et cetera. I know that those of us that are blessed, there are a lot of people in this community who can't afford rent, food, and all the other things. Rents are, one bedroom's $2,000. 2 bedrooms, 3 bedrooms, 25, guys making $16 an hour working for the town. I don't know how he's living and how we expect him to live. So it is a big issue, and we got to try to resolve it, and it's throughout the country. So living wages is something that we really have to take into consideration. So we'll keep struggling and keep trying to get help. We'll keep offering. We'll keep working, and we're under mandate. I hate to say it. I need staff to run the plant.
Doesn't it make sense, though, when the minimum wage goes up, say I'm just throwing this out, it goes up $2 an hour. Shouldn't everybody's pay go up $2 an hour?
To me, that's logic.
Yeah, that's logic to me.
But we don't deal in logic because, not just the municipality world, but the private world.
Government does not deal with logic.
No, it's like, I'm sorry, we got to negotiate with it. There's no, yes, well, I kind of, and then also, when we first got, I say we're an enterprise, and to me it was worth paying them more because what we do is critical. It's very critical, and so I thought but nonetheless, generally speaking, there's tax dollars. And so if the town said we'll give everybody more money, they have to make sure they have the tax dollars to pay for it. And I think that's the issue. Town of Wareham's not notorious for overrides or debt exclusions or things of that sort. So when you have tax dollars that can't even cover the services we presently get, you ride around town and you'll see that we don't have the services that we should have because we don't have the funds. It's hard to say we're going to raise pay. So I get that side of it, but yes, you're right. I think it should be automatic. How we pay for it, I haven't figured that out, but it should be automatic because
it just makes common sense to me. If my employee, if the minimum wage went up and the guy's starting, or whatever, if the poorer paid people are going to get a $2 an hour raise, why shouldn't your regular people get a $2 an hour raise? It just makes sense.
But common sense and government don't go together.
Okay.
I think some of these fast foods are advertised at $17 an hour to get help. And so we have to at least compete with those folks. But anyways, that is where we are with that, and we'll keep doing what we have to do. It's a crisis, and we've got to overcome it. But staffing of a wastewater facility is pretty critical. There's a lot of things that have to be done, and if we can't get them done, it's going to become a problem. We have operators on the weekend we're hiring through a company. We have an ops company. And so, and I'm looking to hire a mechanic through an ops company to train my guys on how to do mechanical work and to do some of our mechanical work. And we also have Western Sense for emergencies and pump station checks. And so we're going that direction more and more and more. And so.
Your people don't have time to do mechanics.
Anyway, so that's where we are because it has to be done. We're working towards it. And also housing must be an issue because the governor's supporting the workforce housing. So the governor's putting the money out there saying it's that important that people that work for communities should be able to live in the community, be able to afford to live in the community. And so that's important because they work here. They should be able to live here. So that's that issue. So we're trying to resolve that. The DOT meeting for the drilling under the rail will be, I believe it's going to be the 28th of September. It'll be virtual. It'll be with the Department of Transportation, the project manager, and some vice president of the DOT, and our engineers and their engineers, and a specialty engineer, and somebody from the railroad. I think it's from I don't know if it's Amtrak, but somebody that deals with high-speed trains, a lot of traffic on the railroad, so they can ask the questions. So that's going to be the 28th, and so we'll get a disposition on that.
Could you possibly send us the
You say
notice
it's
of
go-
it so we can get, if it's virtual, so we can go on?
So I can do that. But I will clear it just to be sure, and I probably shouldn't, but I got to clear it with DOT because it's their program, their invite. I see no problem because I'll give you my credentials.
If it's possible, could you?
Yeah, absolutely.
If you get permission, could you share?
Absolutely. Because I don't
It
see
would be an
why,
interesting meeting.
I don't see
Sorry,
why they
Peter.
wouldn't.
How would you go about monitoring
Monitoring what?
this meeting?
So you'd get
Zoom.
credentials, and you just go on Zoom meeting and watch it. You literally be part, you can watch the meeting.
So it'll be Zoomed?
Yes. It'll be virtual. I'm going to say Zoom, but it could be team meetings or something, but it'll be virtual.
Do you have a time?
I believe it's 1 o'clock the 28th. I will confirm that. Because I'm waiting for my credentials to get in. I got the email today because they were bantering a date.
What's the title?
It's the Department of Transportation meeting for the directional drilling underneath the railroad tracks to the Cape Cod Canal.
Oh, I did my root kill.
Good for you. And we're,
Folks,
again, folks,
I did it very well. It worked, and think I cleaned out
it's
my
good
pipes.
stuff. It's good
Guy, do you
stuff.
have anything else?
No, at this time, Mr. Chairman, I think I'll end. Thank you for the time.
Anybody have any questions for Guy?
Just one. Have you seen this controversy up on Gibbs Ave about the noisy sewer covers?
Absolutely, I hear it too. I drove over it. I checked it out. So I'm going to say, let me say this, I'll put it out there. If I can't get a detail to do a critical job, you think I'm going to get a detail to do that?
Is it one of ours?
Absolutely. So what happened is the manhole was put in 2005. It's a manhole that has hit every single car that goes there hits it. It's a direct hit. So the manhole is worn because over the years doing this, I think it's been put in, I believe that manhole went in when they repaved the road. So that was 4 years ago,
Okay.
roughly. So it's worn. So we put noise rings, that didn't work. We tried to weld it, that didn't work. So now we're going to replace the whole structure. So David Andre, who we hired to do the job, is going to do the job. So he'll schedule a detail and go out there and get it done. So he's doing the job over here. He was hired by the company that owns the condos, and he can't get a detail for that job. He couldn't get a detail for another job in Wareham. So we're not too, if you will, excited about getting a detail for Gibbs Ave, but we'll get to it. It's on the list, and it's going to be replaced.
Anybody, anything else? Okay, moving on. We've got our unfinished business we know about, and we're still working on the sump pumps, so I think what we're doing on the Swift Beach will take care of some of that problem once that's completed.
I'm sorry, did anybody, I shared with Jimmy and I didn't share with everybody else, the issue that happened in the vineyard on which a house down by, Tinsbury? Tinsbury?
Tisbury, yeah.
Had an illegal sump pump connected to the sewer, and they put hundreds of gallons of sewage into their ponds.
Blew up the whole system.
Blew up because of the amount of rain from Ida.
You saw that, right, Guy?
I did.
You
It's
read-
kind of crazy. It's the second one in 2 years. Last year, the exact same thing for illegal connections,
Yep.
sump pumps.
Because the particular land that this house was on is a low land, and they have a lot of water coming in it, and so they blew the system with Ida. Can you imagine all these cars driving through brown water?
It's crazy. It is crazy.
And Yeah. Sump pumps are not good.
Yeah, that was on what, YouTube?
No, I got it out of Cape Cod.
Oh, that's right, it was on the Cape Cod, but it
One of
was
the
Times,
desi-
yeah.
I guess so, yeah.
it was
It's amazing.
video.
Yeah, you know, everybody, we hammer sump pumps, and to get to crystallize it, this article did a great job, because you're taking capacity, and it has to go somewhere, and it comes out the manhole. I sent Jim a link, I think you all a link, about all these manhole covers that are blowing off.
Yep.
Because you have
That was
too
incredible.
much water, and there's these issues of illegal connections, because you just don't know, and it can become deadly, and, you know, you hammer it, and everybody says, oh, yeah, whatever, I'm gonna do what I need to do, it's my, but it's a bigger problem, and so, yeah, it was a good article.
Sandy, did you see that? Did you get the article? I was just... Oh, Sandy, do you have a copy of that article?
No, it came as one of my blasts that I get for
Oh,
News
okay.
Blast on my phone.
I have a
Cape
copy
Cod-
of it,
from
I'll
Cape
get it,
Cod.
I copied
I'd
it.
love to have a copy.
I'll give you, I have a
Yeah.
copy.
Cape
I'd
Cod
love to
Times,
That was
yeah.
it was incredible, Donna.
Yes, I have a
What do you
copy of
see?
the article.
Okay.
Okay, any new business?
Yes.
Yes, go.
I make a motion that we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Adjourning at 7:22.
We got an hour to kick off.